Yeah, so as you're aware, for those of you still watch the channel, obviously been in the West Country, over in southwestern England for the last couple of days. Went to Avebury Stones on Saturday as they were gathering there to do their autumn equinox gathering. Then, notably, would be Monday, Glastonbury tour, same again. Saturday was grey skies. Monday was beautiful, clear skies and sunrise, obviously, and a perfect blue sky, above Glastonbury tour. Fantastic. Yeah, it's just been very interesting to kind of sit amongst people who would have different opinions. They would be much more inclined to be left wing. But yet we can still meet on a middle ground. And this is the main bulk of the video. The main message I wanted to cover in this. Whether you're far left or far right, there's actually a period now where both sides can kind of unite under one problem, and that will be the incoming digital IDs, which are, people are saying even within the next week or so, they're going to start trying to unveil them and start trying to prod around promoting them. Whether or not that happens, I don't know, but it's certainly something I thought was interesting. There's plenty of people who are what you would say are lefties over in Somerset, over in the West Country, who are aware of all this, and they've started going ahead and getting off grid. I was watching a video on Joe Fisher's channel last night. He's done really well. He's exploded over the last year or so to nearly 60,000 subscribers, so well done him. But he went to visit an off-grid community where they have bought a bit of land, got some solar panels, built a few wooden buildings, like I could get a generator, a couple of chickens, everything's homegrown, or as best as I can do. And they've never really mentioned anything to do with mass immigration or gay pride or any of Palestine or any of that sort of lefty thing that you'd associate with the lefties. But at the same time, they're practicing what they preach, which I love. I fully respect anyone who tries to actually get on board with all that. But it just shows yet again that both the left and the right at this point actually have some similar issues. What's the old saying? Left wing, right wing. It's the same wings of the same bird. It's both heading. The bird's going in one direction, regardless of if you're sitting on the left wing or the right wing. This bird is heading the same way. Maybe that's why they actually called it left wing, right wing. Maybe it's certainly going to affect both political ideologies. Whether you are for Palestine or whatever, all the usual topics, but certainly the digital IDs, the cashless society, that's going to affect everybody. This horrible dystopian facial recognition technology we're creeping in now. There was a guy outside the Red Line I was talking to, and he was looking at me a bit like bloody Gollum to begin with. He had, from Lord of the Rings, he had a real nasty look in his eyes. He was glaring at me, and he asked, are you media? I saw you taking photos earlier. Are you media? I said, no. I'm just here as a hobby, and explained to him what I do, and showed him a few photos on the camera. And he totally eased up. Then he was a totally different person, and he was just telling me that he goes on loads of demonstrations, like the anti-war demonstrations, gay pride marches, pro-Palestine demos, etc. But he's on about that the police obviously will go around scanning faces and putting people on databases basically already, which is believable. So again, when he said that, I thought, well, that kind of sums up that we've actually got similar concerns on that topic, really. Whether you're right wing or left wing, we've both got concerns over our data and what it's being used for. And so I just thought it was quite an interesting observation that we can actually get along on that one. But yeah, it was unusual to kind of sit amongst people who I would not necessarily agree with. I mean, there was an American couple sat inside the Red Line who were from Chicago. The lady was actually sat there with a mask on, and I thought, oh God, when I saw her without a mask on. But I think she had an illness, so fair enough, can let it go. But she kept taking her mask off to talk, which I thought was ridiculous. It reminded me of everything that happened 4 years ago. But she was, but they were both like massive Trump haters, shall we say. They didn't like Trump, and sit and listen to it. There's a lot of points are valid, and but ultimately I just kind of thought, well, it's none of my business. If you are American and you don't like Trump, that's your business. I'm just concerned about what's going on in this country, really, because America's a fantasy world on the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. Before this modern way of living, America would be weeks away, to get to by a wooden boat or something. Without modern technology, I wouldn't know what's even going on over there. But courtesy of the modern technology and modern world, I'm always informed of what's going on over there. So, I sat and listened to some of the points, and there's plenty of interesting, valid reasons why we didn't like him that they came up with, and fine, But ultimately, we left on good terms, and that's the thing, it was quite a decent atmosphere. And also reassuring as well was the amount of people I've met who also understand how am I going to word this, the things the Epstein Club will get up to, let's put it that way, with little people within our upper echelons of society, so to speak, the things that they'll get up to. So regardless whether you're left or right, we can both agree that's wrong. And also reassuring them same people as well didn't get poked. God, there's been loads of people I've met. It just dawned on me then. There was a guy I met in Avebury. He never got poked, and we were chatting about that nonsense. There was a lovely Polish lady I met on Glastonbury tour. She never got poked. And then there was another lady as well at Avebury that never got poked either. So it kind of shows you them big topics like that. They understood it as well, because they've got a similar level of distrusting of institutions as well. Like people we call lefties. They have a similar level of distrust, which is a great thing. So, yeah. So the overall point being is that both sides have got something to unite about, really. So I don't really know what else to say. I'm just going to be deliberating on that point, really. So I'll call it a day there. Well, in fact, I'll just comment on the photos a little bit. I mean, it has been good to document both events. Now I've done Stonehenge December 22, which was winter solstice. I've done Glastonbury tour now for autumn equinox, and I've done Avebury Stones at autumn equinox. I've still got summer solstice to do, to be fair, but I'd need to find kind of the right location for that. And fingers crossed, I'm hoping to go to America and document some of the World Cup stadiums next year. It'd be a good way to get around America with a good purpose, like Miami, Texas, New York, I don't know. And also America is celebrating its 250th independence next year as well. So there's some things I'd hopefully like to be out there for, but we'll see what happens, which would lead me on to one last point, actually. One thing leads to another. Is there's a guy in the bakery in Colchester the other week, and he was talking about the cashless society. So it shows both sides of the country is talking about it now, whether you're in Somerset, whether you're in Essex, both sides are talking about it. Same up north, same down south. People are waking up now, which is great. But he was saying perhaps before the end of the year something big will happen, and the reason something big could happen is because that will give these people in the people that shouldn't be in charge, the powers that shouldn't be, as Nigel Watson coined. It will give them an opportunity to come up with a reason to push this digital ID stuff, whatever it might be, whatever horrific event they could come up with, would give them an excuse to say, look, you know what, we need to monitor everybody, we need to track everybody, facial recognition technology everywhere. It's order out of chaos, which is something that they particularly enjoy doing. And big emotional events, we're talking sort of New York 2001 style events. They wrap people up in emotion and distress, and obviously them sort of people are extremely easy to manipulate and control. The problem we've got now, though, is that people have learned a lot over the last 20 years and are now looking at the people in charge with a lot of distrust, and even or pretty much all institutions, whether it's NHS, police, government, even military. I think people have lost a lot of trust in institutions over the last 20 years, and the media, of course. So with that, of course, you would hope, even if they do try some big dramatic event, even if it was like the Ariana Grande concert back in 2017, that people might even think it was like an inside job. Because you only have to look at the other week with Charlie Kirk, where people are more inclined to believe in conspiracies surrounding that event than the official narrative. So this is all reassuring stuff. Was it Mr. Pink in Reservoir Dogs? He actually congratulated one of the other guys for speculating that he might be the rat. And that's what I mean. It's the same sort of thing now, that at least people are questioning things rather than believing whatever the media is telling them, because you can't trust that lot at all anymore, as we know. So, yeah, I'm going to leave it on, basically finish it on by saying far left or far right, there's actually something we can both unite under this time, and that's the digital IDs, the facial recognition, all this dystopian technology that's coming in, because it ain't going to do any of us any favours. Doesn't matter which side of the bird you're on. So that's it. Cheers.